Pradeep Guha, that time was the CEO of ZTV. He told me, Ambi, तुम Facebook पे नहीं है क्या? So I said, नहीं यार, Facebook तो is meant for school kids, no, and college kids. He said, नहीं, everyone can join यार, मैं हूँ, तुम आ जा.
Although we log into social media every day, it's not so often we talk about or tries with it on a daily basis. From DMing that morning message to our personal favorites on WhatsApp to sharing memes and posting our greatest life adventures on Instagram to letting our opinions flow freely on Twitter and Facebook, we have all been a social media junkie. But do we remember when we opened our accounts on these social media apps, although few to notify us, but why? For Ambi Parameswaran, brand strategist and founder brand builder, it was former ZTV CEO Pradeep Guha who led him to open a Facebook account.
I got into social media many years ago through accident. I think the first time I heard was when Pradeep Guha, that time was the CEO of ZTV, he told me, Ambi, तुम Facebook पे नहीं है क्या? So I said, नहीं यार, Facebook तो is meant for school kids, no, and college kids. He said, नहीं, everyone can join यार, मैं हूँ, तुम आ जा. So this was, more than 10 years ago, and I went and I checked, and I could create an account on Facebook, and so I've been on Facebook for many years. Earlier, I used to post very frugally, and nowadays I do a little more of posting on Facebook.
And this was how he did his debut on Facebook. Now his introduction to Twitter is another interesting story.
Twitter was a very interesting exploration. Around, I think again, 10 years ago, I was delivering a talk at TCS in Mumbai on advertising trends, and I finished my talk around 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., and their office was that time in the Air India building at Nariman Point in Mumbai, and I walked across, literally across the road to my old office, which was Nirmal Nariman Point, and I went to my office, opened my computer, and I get a mail from my son saying, "What gyan are you giving TCS guys?" So I said, I was a little surprised. My son was that time in California. He was studying at Stanford, and how did he know? How did he know about my talk to TCS? So I asked him, "How did you find out?" He said, he answered with one word, Twitter. I said, "What is Twitter?" He said, "You don't know Twitter. You're kind of, what's wrong with you? You don't know Twitter." So I said, "Look, I don't know." And later I found out about Twitter, and but I didn't join Twitter at that time. Later, when the Mumbai attack happened, the terrorist attack happened at Taj in Oberoi, the day, I think that second day, I was sitting with my colleague Satish Ramchandran in his Worli office, and he said, "Boss, live news aa raha hai from Taj." I said, "How?" He said, "Through Twitter." I said, "What? People are tweeting?" He said, "Yeah, people who are inside the hotel are tweeting. We heard this, we heard that." So I that minute I got onto Twitter, and I've been on Twitter. I've been following a lot of people, and I've been learning from a lot of people.
The ad veteran is here to tell us how he navigates through other social media apps like Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, and why they have become an integral part of his daily routine.
Now today I am active on Twitter. I am active on Facebook, and then LinkedIn I discovered as a very useful way to network with professionals, and I joined LinkedIn soon after it became a little popular. Not too many people there, but it was reasonably good. So, and I believe across all the various social media platforms, I feel somehow LinkedIn to be the most useful for me in terms of learning about what is happening and about new things. Twitter again is very productive, very useful. I prefer LinkedIn to all. And now coming to how often do I post, so I was not too active on any of these till about 4 years ago when my literary agent Anish Chandy said that look, for an author, uh, social media is great free media. So I became more active with my book For God's Sake, and then later when I published my book Nawab June's Doodles, in fact I even changed my profile picture to that of my book cover, and then I've continued that, and I use social media to talk about my books, about chapters of the book, reviews of the book, comments about the book, stories from the book, and interestingly, this opened a great channel for readers to communicate with me. I normally uh, stay away from posting negative stuff, and I try and keep it slightly light, not I don't get to the humor area, but I keep it a little self-deprecating, if I can say that. And every day, probably I spend about half an hour on various social media apps. This, of course, doesn't include WhatsApp because I think WhatsApp is one. It's become like the mobile phone today, or like text messaging, that you get so much of work-related personal messages on WhatsApp that I'm not even calling it a social media handle because it's become like utility today.
Where Parameswaran as an author has utilized social media to connect with potential readers, he's restricted himself from oversharing personal things on the new web, and is also not a big fan of posting the daily breakfast to lunches, snaps, or stories.
Coming to what we should do, what we should not do, and I think each of us have our own limits. For example, I don't share very much personal stuff on any of my social media handles. I don't share anything personal on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Insta. Most of my sharing is with respect to professional interests, which could be an article or an ad or a concept which I heard about. But it's up to you. I mean, some people actually post their daily breakfast and their daily food. That's up to them. I don't do that.
Catering to the advertising domain for several years, he's bound to share his experiences related to the sector on social media.
I am vocal about advertising, and I find some ad to be very good. I go out and praise the advertising, praise the campaign. When I find someone making a mistake, I point out the mistake. And to be fair, whenever I've tagged the company has either messaged me separately or corrected the ad. So I'm happy that a lot of both Indian companies and international companies are actively listening to, because this is really free. This is free research for you. This is free advice you're getting you, and you'll be a fool if you don't listen to what consumers are saying about you and your brand in an open forum. So I tag companies, I tag spokespersons, I tag people who may be of interest, and on the other side I also get tagged by a lot of people on very quotes where they feel that I will be able to add some value to what they are saying.
On the sidelines, he's also very cautious about the time we dedicate to social media and why using it appropriately shouldn't be overlooked.
But I feel that you got to be careful with how much time you're spending on social media. What are you doing on social media? Used rightly, I think social media is great amount of information. And I think Prakash Iyer puts it very nicely. He said there is so much you can learn from Twitter if you follow the right people. Because they share ideas, they share articles, they share reports, which is all, you might have to struggle for hours together to get that stuff. It's all available for you free of charge. You'll be a fool if you don't use social media to improve yourself. So I think there are two different sides to social media. One is to use it to tom yourself. I've done this, I've done that. I went here, I'm sitting in this airport. Okay, that's fine. You may like to do that. Great. And people may like it. Wonderful. Or the other thing is simple stuff. I had this for breakfast, I had this for lunch. Nice. People like to do that. The other extreme is where you get people who share articles, who share their article, who share something they read which was interesting, who share a book review, who share a movie review. I try and follow a lot of those people. For example, Karthik, and Lucky Butt. Amazing the amount of information they share on social media. Anyone student of marketing communication should definitely read what they say. Harish Butt from Tata Group shares almost on a weekly basis fabulous stories, leadership stories from the Tata Group, which is a must read for me. And why should it be toxic? Why should it be negative? So even when I criticize, even when I find something wrong, I point out the mistake gently. And I think there is a huge virtue in doing it a little gently. Don't call that person you're an idiot. Who's your copywriter? No. Say it gently. Did the copywriter wake up on the wrong side of the bed? There is this mistake. And I'm surprised. It's such a big company, such a big agency, such a big brand that you made this mistake. Right? Be gentle. Be gentle. And we can make this, though I'm saying it, mind you, I'm not saying it facetiously. We can make this a better place. I would probably today say WhatsApp because you get a lot of personal and professional communication. I don't think I would like to ban anything. Uh, all should exist. It's up to you. I think social media is actually free research, right? And you can learn so much, by listening to what people are writing about your ad. If you don't do that, you're making a mistake. So you may, any brand or brand manager watching this, you may not be active in social media, but you have to listen to the conversation happening in social media about your brand. If you're not doing it, it's you're throwing money out the window. My former colleague, Lucky Butt, is killing it. So is Karthik. These two guys are amazingly prolific and amazingly perceptive in what they write. So I love to read what they say. Brands, I'm not a big follower of brands on social media. But I'm saying that there are so many great people brands whom you should follow, whether it is Harsh Goenka or Anand Mahindra or Adam Grant. They are brands and they are worth following. So thank you very much for inviting me here. And let me just say that for those of you who have not read my book Spring, Bouncing Back from Rejection, is available as a book, as a Kindle, and as audible format. So let me thank Social Samosa for inviting me to share my little bit on social media. Thank you very much and have a great day and have a great year ahead. Thank you.